Hello, it's me, and I've come back to you with another old friend, this 2x4x6. Now, I had already shown a method on solving the 2x4x6. To be honest with you, at that time, this was not mass-produced, and what I wanted to do was design or show a strategy that was short on algorithms but high on strategy. And that strategy was only doing permutation and orientation of these layers. RIDARDs to orient this, and the corner swapping algorithm to permute this. And I wanted to show that you can do all of these in the same way with just those two strategies. However, as soon as I got done with that tutorial, I found that this was mass-produced, which is actually excellent news, because that means that for the first time, anybody can get into their hands one of these ultimate shapeshifters, which is of the most challenging of cuboid-type puzzles. 2x4x6, which means that it shapeshifts in all directions, and it has an n by n plus 2 by n plus 4 type organization. However, although the strategy, the parity-free strategy, is short on algorithms but high on strategy, the fact is this is a fairly difficult puzzle to solve. So no matter how you slice it, there's gonna be a degree of difficulty that you're gonna have with it, whether it's by way of multiple algorithms, such as the floppy parity algorithms using Red Bull, which is the floppy strategy, or the brick parity algorithms, or the URF algorithms. No matter how you slice it, you could choose to do those, which would be potentially a more efficient solve, although you'll have to bear in mind those algorithms, or you could do the parity-free strategy, which, although it's short on algorithms, it does take a lot of maneuvering and kind of positioning. If you don't want to do it that way, if you don't want to solve it using the positioning and you're okay with algorithms, I thought I'd come back and show the standard way of solving all of these ultimate shapeshifters. These are other ones of the class which I hope will be mass-produced at some point in the future. 3x5x7, 4x6x8, 5x7x9, and 6x8x10. So the thing about this particular type is, if you don't want to do it parity free and you want to do what might actually be a more efficient type solve, you have to bear in mind the floppy parity strategies using Red Bull algorithms multiple times, or the brick parity, which is among the longest parity algorithms that you can have, but fairly easy to remember as you do it. So I'm going to do an alternative tutorial as to how to solve it, which is a little more on algorithms, a little less perhaps on strategy, but it might make for a somewhat more efficient solve if that's your preference. But if you want to do the parity free, just take a look at this, and then you can do that. For now, what we're going to do is the standard solve that I've been showing before. I'm going to come back with this one when I return to the Back to Basics series, as I do my 3-layer strategies, adding on edges and centers with this. So I'm leaving the Back to Basics and doing the straight tutorial with this. Now, this is not the mass-produced version. This is the Calvin version. I don't have the mass-produced version. Honestly, I don't plan on getting it because this one has done the job for me. But in order to scramble it well, first I do 180-degree scrambles, scrambling it like it were something of a non-shapeshifter. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of separating out and teasing out all these different colors here. So I'm going to do this for a little bit. So now you see stirring before you your mass-produced, although that's not what this is, ultimate shapeshifter. So here's what you can do. It's not parity-free. You will get potentially parities with this, but here's another way to go through this, which might make the solve just a little less strategic and more laden with parities. First thing to do is I'm going to try to get it back into my native shape. So I'm going to try to unbandage pieces as much as possible. When I solve a cuboid, or any cuboid that's a shapeshifter that can do 90-degree turns, then I want to solve based on the baseline puzzle. What I mean by that is this is a 2x4x6. So the lowest layer is a 2 layer. So I'm going to solve it first as a 2 by 2, but I'm going to do it just with corners. So I'm going to ignore these, and I'm not going to define these as corners anymore. I'm going to say that they're edges, the way that I said before. But what I'm going to do is solve it as a 2 by 2 just with these outer corners over here. So I'm going to ignore everything else in the puzzle, but just deal with these, because what I'm looking for are only the pieces that have 3 colors. And the only pieces with 3 colors are not the centers, which are 1 color, not the edges, which are 2 colors, but the corners over here. So I'm going to start with here, let's scramble a little bit more here. With say a yellow color, and this is yellow, orange, and blue. So let's find other yellows. Here's another yellow here, and I'm moving it like a 2 by 2. So I'm looking for the other yellow and blue, which is right over here. So we can just move that down, and you can see that it's here. Now, we just happen to have this lined up. We won't worry about that now. I'm going to put all the other yellows in. Here's a yellow, yellow and red, which is going to go across yellow and red over here, ignoring all of this and putting it at the proper place over here. So I'm going to move this here, and just like you did with the 2 by 2, move this to this position over here. So again, R-I, D-I, R. D, so this is in here, and we've already got this over here. So I've got these 4 corners in. So start off with these 4 corners. Now I turn it upside down. I'm continuing my 2 by 2 solve. Now if you have a different way of doing a 2 by 2 solve, I welcome you to do that. But what you can do is find one that's lined up correctly. We can line this one up correctly. But actually what we could do is just continue your 2 by 2 solve. These are rotated up. We're going to now orient these guys by doing our R-I-D-I-R-D. So R-I-D-I-R-D. I assume knowledge of a 2 by 2 solve. This is just how I do it. I keep doing R-I-D-I-R-D until this white one is up R-D, where it's supposed to be here. I just move this one in line, this next one, and keep doing R-I-D-I-R-D until this is facing up, and that's going to automatically fix the bottom, R-I. I went into more of the philosophy about how these algorithms worked earlier, so you're welcome to look at that in the Back to Basics, R-D. By doing that, it'll orient all these right, and these will be fixed over here. So now I find the 2 corners that are in. I see it's not this, it's these 2. By in, I mean that they're aligned correctly. So these are 2 whites. You see these 2 oranges are here. I'll just move that to the orange side. And now one corner swap should swap these guys and put it back. And put these in its native shape over here. So I'm going to swap this so that this white, green, and red will be right by this. Just above this yellow, green, and red. And that's going to be 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Turn 90 degrees, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and we'll just align this up over here. So that's your 2 by 2 solve. And what this does is it puts your corners in position, which is what you need for a certain organization of the puzzle. Now what we want to do is we want to take this out of the floppy form. I say that it's a floppy form because these edges here are poking up. When they're poking up, I want them all to be flat. So the only thing on this side is going to be white and orange, white and yellow rather, and this is going to be white and yellow over here. There's no middle layer over here to deal with. That's something we'll have to deal with this when this becomes mass produced. But in any case, how to put these down? Well, let's just take a look and see what we've got. Those that are here, we could just move independently. It just so happens that all 4 of these are up. So I simply just move that down. So you can see that that's flat. Over here, 2 are up and 2 are down. Occasionally you're going to have 2 up, you're going to have 3 up and 1 down. If that's the case, just move it into position and you'll just have 1 poking out. It just so happened that 4 could line up. Sometimes it looks even harder like this. Okay, so there's a variety of different types of conformations you might get. Mine just happen to fall together pretty well. But as you can see here in this layer, we have 2 up and 2 down. So we kind of run into a situation, don't we, where we can move this up, but now we've got these 2 up over here. So we've got inner edge pieces over here, inner edge pairs, and we have outer edge pairs over here as well. And same kind of thing. I can maybe take this, move this over here. I've got 2 up and 2 down. So I can go like this, but we still don't make much headway with that. Now we're going to try to maintain our outer organization as much as possible. But in order to move these down when you have things that are in such an asymmetric way, it's pretty easy. You do the Red Bull algorithm. And what the Red Bull algorithm does is it swaps and rotates. So by swapping two and rotating it, we don't offend the law of cubes, so to speak, but we can actually move this into its more brick position where everything is down, facing down. So what I'd do is I'd start off with the inner edges over here. With that, I see that these two are up. What I want to do is I want to put them next to each other. Now, here's what I can do if you have a situation where you've got two sets that are up on the outside and two sets that are up on the inside, is I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to take this and move it right next to its peer over there, and then I can, move this back. What I can also do now is I can take this piece and move it over here. So what I have is all of these are facing up. Now, in essence, what the Red Bull algorithm will do is I can make it to where these two are like fused together as one component, so that this whole thing is an edge made up of two pieces. These two are together and these two are together. So this is a move and this is a move. So by positioning them together like that, I can do a Red Bull where this is my R over here collectively, and this is my L. So that'll minimize movements and minimize algorithms. I could do it separately, where I have this as an R, move these two down, basically it'll swap these and move these down, and then move this as an R. But any chance you can get when you end up with a situation where you've got two that are up and two that are down, try to put them all at the same time. You'll never have just one up. That wouldn't make any sense. Sometimes you'll have two up and both of these will be down. But if you have one up, there's going to be another one that's going to be up. So you'll be able to get this position. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to R, where these two together are moved as an R, to B, to U, and just remember that these together are going to be L. So that's L, hence Red Bull. To up, RI, to up, R, to up, to F, R, to F, LI, to B, and you can finish off with a 2R. So it moved all of those down. Now, what if you get a situation like this? Okay, you can see just the outer ones are, or rather the inner edges are out. These two are out. You're always going to see two, either none, two, none or two. So what you're going to do is move them so that they're at the same side, like this, and now do that same Red Bull algorithm, but just from the inside. So we're going to define this as an R. So, to R, so this is my R, to B, to U, and L. To up, RI, to up, R, to up, to F, R, to F, LI. We can finish off with 2B and 2R. So you can have that situation. What if you get something like this? Okay, with this, you can see this is a variation. This is up and this is up. All of the inners are in, but these are up over here. So once again, well, actually just move them across from each other like so, and do the same Red Bull algorithm, but with this as my R. So once again, 2R. Now my 2B cuts right down the center. 2B, 2U, L. 2 up, RI, 2 up, R, 2 up. And now you can see why my B's and my F's cut right down the center, because this cuts through the center too. 2F, R, 2F, LI, 2B, 2R. Now lest you think the Red Bull algorithm is new, it's not. We encounter the same thing if you've done a 4x4 parity issue as well. If you've done a 4x4 solve and you've come across that parity, if you do the classic reduction technique, then you'll have run into that. But in any case, with that, you'll be able to effectively get that down. Now you can have the same situation over here. So here's a slightly more complicated situation that you might get. Okay, so here's something that's much more convoluted as you can see. You can see edges don't match. I've got these floating up. I've got things that are at right angles to each other, so it's kind of a nightmare. So at first you'd think, well, maybe we can Red Bull these two down, but we can't because I can't do an arm move because of this guy over here. So what I'm going to do, and you can also see that this doesn't really belong in this area over here. So what do we do? Well, first thing to do is where can we isolate movements? Like here, I can't do much more than my 2x2 move over here, but I can do a little bit more movement over here. So I do have some degrees of freedom. Now I could try to free this up as well. If I don't like this, this piece over here, what I may want to do is get it facing the other way, and I can do that by doing like something like a corner swap, where I take this and I maybe swap it for a corner, but this is all up over here. So I see one piece, two pieces up, this is not up, this is at least angulated the right way, and this piece is up. So 1, 2, 3. So the first thing to do is let's take this layer here and just move it down, because if I do that, I'll have 3 pieces that are facing up, and one piece that's facing down. I can just go like this, and now those 3 pieces, this is facing down, this is facing down, this is facing down, and I just have one piece facing up. So that's a little bit better. And now I still want to coordinate things because this is facing up, this is coming out above this layer over here, and so is this. So I've got 2, but they're angulated the wrong way. What about these guys? So this is up and this is up. So now what? Well, what I may want to do is if I could just take this piece and move it to this side over here. And I can do that. Now notice my 2x2 solve is still in play. I can do that by just doing a corner swap. If I swap these 2 corners, this is going to be at right angles, so that's not going to work so well. So what I actually want to do is I want to separate this from this, kind of get that out of right angles, or better yet, do a corner swap in this direction. If I do a corner swap in this direction, this will end up here, and this whole chunk will end up over here, so at least it'll be facing the same way as this, and nothing will be at right angles. So you can see that at least this is facing out, this is facing out here, this is facing out here, this is facing at right angles. So do a corner swap to make sure that all the places that are facing up, if you can't just do any positioning, are facing the same direction. So I'm going to do a corner swap of this corner and this corner, because collectively it's going to be this moving with this chunk over here. So do a corner swap to get this facing here. That's going to be 2R U, 2R UI, 2R, turn 90 degrees, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and now this turns back. So what we did is we've kept this 2x2 solve the same. This has now been swapped, but look what we have here. We now have this layer able to face the right direction, or we're able to free these up. So in so doing, what I'm going to do is place these 2 next to each other, or alternatively I can just go like this, so that these guys are next to each other. So it doesn't really matter. If you turn it like this, notice these 2 are next to each other, and I can Red Bull these down. Or I can take the same size and put them next to each other. So watch what I do here. I'm just going to double turn this over here and go like this. So these 2 are next to each other, and they happen to be the same size, and these 2 are next to each other. So basically, long story short, put it to where you can coordinate a Red Bull algorithm by freeing up sides. If you should happen to get sides that are at right angles to each other, well, go ahead and position them so that they're facing the same way. And now do a Red Bull, get these 2 down. That's 2R, 2B, 2U, L, 2 up, RI, 2 up, R, 2 up, 2F, cutting in the middle, R, 2F, Li, 2B, and 2R, and you can see with the magic of algorithms, these are down. Now I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm going to do it with these 2. Now remember, I corner swap these, but it's easy to see which ones I'm going to have to swap back. That's going to come later. But let's go ahead and move these down. 2R, 2B, 2U, L, 2 up, RI, 2 up, R, 2 up, 2F, R, 2F, Li, 2B, 2R. Okay, so as you can see, all of these are down. What I'm going to do is very quickly corner swap these two back. So it's the equivalent of taking these two pieces that are in, move them to their proper place. Let's go ahead and corner swap this back. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, turn, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. And as you can see, we've corner swapped those back so all of our corners are fine, and we now have it more looking like a brick, where all of these edges are now down. So now what we want to do is we still need to get it back into its native cuboid shape. These guys are not in the position where they're supposed to be. Well, these two are paired together, so we can easily move this to here. So are there any other two that are not paired together? Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take these small ones and see if we can't pair them to where they're supposed to be, such as here. So these two are paired, these small ones are paired here, and this is paired over here. So why don't I go ahead and look at these as though they're together edges, they're edges together, and do an edge swap. At least this will put this where it's supposed to be over here so that it's of the same size, and this will be over here. So it'll get some of it where it's supposed to be. So doing an edge swap between this and this, we do 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. So you can see we've got these swapped back. But now we have these guys facing out the wrong way. So how are we going to get these guys back? Well, let's try to visualize what we want to have happen here. What I want to do is I want to have a small piece. When I say small, I mean something from the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 side, one of these, to be able to come into this area over here. To have that, this piece needs to be here. So I can double turn it and put it here. If this piece were over here, I can double turn this to end up over here. So what I want to do is you can see a large one, a small one, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 6, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 6-layer side here and a 4-layer side here. These two are the complements of that. If I can take this and move it to here, then I can achieve my goal with that. And this can move over to here. This will then move over to here to join this piece over here. So really we can coordinate those. So to make that happen, what I'm going to do is I need to take these two and collectively move it over to here so they can be just opposite where they need to be over here. So we'll go ahead and do a corner swap, an adjacent edge swap, rather an adjacent edge swap, which is 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Okay, this is hanging out over here, that's fine. Now I've got these two which are reciprocals to each other, and these guys are reciprocals to each other. So just go kersplat. Now these are lined up, and these are lined up. Once I've done that, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to swap these two corners for each other. Why don't we just move this down here, corner swap or edge swap these guys, and then move it back. So it's really just a matter of positioning. So I'll put these here, edge swap these two, 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. It's edge swap back. And all I have to do is put my corners back in from where I had that before. So bang. So this was probably as complicated as you're going to get, and I invite you to use these strategies to do whatever specific configuration that you had. But I showed you how you deal with these two as units and these two as separate units, and what to do if they're at right angles. Just keep positioning and try to get them facing the right way. So now what you have is you have it out of the quote floppy form and into the brick form, and now it's a matter of doing our 180-degree turns. So where do we go from here?